What is up, Moose Knuckles? JJ back here from Run Pure Bets, talking the MLB slate live for Saturday, April the 10th. I'm going to offer up some brief breakdowns on most of these games, some targetable betting spots, also my best bet. I know it's early, so some of you probably haven't even jerked off yet, but early bird gets the worm, as the cool kids say. All right, so first things first, entrance protocol. As most of you should already know, if you are watching, be sure to drop your first name, last name in the chat, along with your social security number and flaccid dick size. We've had people in the past say things like 14 inches, and come on. I mean, honesty is the best policy. As for your socials, it's just for archival purposes. I'm sure you all understand. See, Varun's a legend. He understands. He's been doing this a long time now. Fun things happening at Run Pure this weekend. Keg's got his live UFC show today, where he'll be live betting, all day. We have also extra live betting in the Discord with our guy D's Soccer, NBA with Spread Tyler HTP, MLB with Joey and myself, and Keg and Joey also slamming UFC play. So head over to runpurebets.com to enjoy all of it. Okay, so what you won't get from me this morning on this show, okay? Player dick sizes. Okay, I know some people love to obsess over player numbers and BVP and all those types of crazy stats, which is very cool. We're very relative for DFS, but not so relative in the betting market. I know, like I said, some of you guys may love hearing about it and how erect batters get when they face a certain pitcher, but look, not my speed. Also, big money line favorites. If you enjoy parlaying money line favorites, you probably shouldn't be betting this sport to begin with, but you will not be hearing that from me either on this show. So without further ado, let's dive in. We have 6 games that start at about 4 o'clock Eastern or earlier. So even look, if Keg is up this early, I mean, everybody needs to be up this early. I mean, look at me. I got airbrushed for this show. I mean, look how good my skin looks. My forehead lines are still kind of Benjamin Button-esque, but I've been getting airbrushed for this show since about 5-6 a.m. And look, it's early, but I mean, it's earlier in Hawaii. Okay, Hawaii, it's 5 a.m. I'm not sure we'll get anybody from there, but it's super early there. What's up, Kyle? All right, so let's just dive in here. First game this is DeGrom, right? Okay, so the interesting thing with DeGrom starts all this year, and I think it goes without saying, if you're going to bet him, the books are going to make you pay for it, right? So he's 270 today, and likely, it's a fair line there. The problem is that this Mets bullpen is going to be a killer this year. I mean, if you argue, DeGrom likely wins about 14 or 15 games this year. I know that number might seem light to you, but you have to figure there's going to be quite a few games where the Mets don't give him support. And there's going to be quite a few games where the Mets blow games for him, right? So if you argue that he pitches himself into 22 to 23 winnable games, I would scratch, again, assuming he has 5 or 6 bad starts throughout the year. I would scratch about 7 or 8 of those to the bullpen and to the Mets not scoring runs. So when you're laying 270 on the Mets every start with DeGrom, especially when he plays a much inferior pitcher, value is not necessarily there. And it's not so much fun to parlay, like I told you about with parlaying money line favorites. Look, the best angle you can get is paying extra vig with DeGrom early in the first 5. So, you'll lay a half run first 5. You'll be paying, I guess you'll pay about minus 170 first 5, laying a half run ish, minus 165. I don't have the exact lines in front of me. What's up, John? What's up, Willie? What's up, Chris? So just something to keep in mind with DeGrom starts in general, because, it's never fun laying that type of vig, especially when you have the Mets bullpen, which look is improved, right? But still, quite head scratching on many sorts, especially for when DeGrom pitches. He's been quite unlucky in that regard. So he goes up against Trevor Rogers, who's I would consider average at best. A little underrated as far as his stuff goes. So all that would make me lean towards the under here. I know it's 6.5. It's actually 7 still at DraftKings. You label 124 there, but it's a half run to you worth 24 cents, because FanDuel it's 6.5 unders 100. So my opinion, no, half run's not worth 24 cents there. But I lean under in this game in particular. I know it's a low number, but again, I continue to say Trevor Rogers is a bit of an underrated pitcher. At least he had a decent year. Had a few decent years overall. And look, you're going to get DeGrom. DeGrom's going to likely put himself in very little bit of trouble. And even when he does, he'll more than likely wiggle himself out, especially against this Marlins lineup. So yeah, I mean, maybe lean first 5 under. You'll probably get that 3.5. So that's a lean for me. I don't. It's not a bet I'm going to make. And maybe if 1 or 2 runs get scored early, maybe DeGrom gives up a homer in the first inning, or Rogers gives up a few early. Maybe you want to jump in on the live under if it's like 9.5, 10. But other than that, no, going to be a stay away spot for me. So next game, Yankees Rays, Domingo Germán, Chris Archer. I personally did not like what I saw from Archer in his last start. He didn't start. He was basically a middle relief guy for them for a few innings versus the Marlins. I did not like what I saw. His velocity was down. I know he had a decent spring, and he's back in with the Rays after his stint with the Pirates. But I did not like. To me, it's very much like Rich Hill. Like I know I gave out that play yesterday with the over. Archer's velocity is still not what it once was. And Domingo Germán, has had quite a lengthy stay away from the game. So I see this total, this dip from. So 9.5, it's been staying 9.5. There's more under money coming through. I think this opened at 8 or 9, and now maybe some under money starting to come back. I think people might look at the game yesterday and think, oh, well, these teams are hitting, and, there were so many runs yesterday, and they're probably just going to follow that up today. Do remember that Kluber, I told you, was a bit overrated coming into this year, and Rich Hill is just not very good, especially against righty-heavy lineups. This is a little different, right? Germán's, I'd consider better than Kluber these days. And Archer, like I said, I personally did not like what I saw from him. So I guess with that said, maybe a small lean for me on the Yanks. I don't want to lay 130 in a game that it could be tied late. Like in these types of spots, if I'm going to lay 130, I always want to know that I'm about 25 cents ahead of the line. So like for me, if I cap the game at 105, then 130 is if I cap the line at 155, then 130 for me is a play. But other than that, to me, this line's fairly good at 130. I'd argue if it was you've got it at 120, 115, that would have been a targetable spot. But 130, it's not really my speed. And you might get a little steam there in the other direction or in favor of the Yanks. But overall, it'll be a stay away spot for me. And again, I guess at 9.5, I probably very lightly lean the under, despite how I don't trust these pitchers all that much. It's just a big number for this park. And I go into this often from time to time where we talk about big numbers at certain parks and numbers that are targetable. Like, for instance, when you see a number, it's rare, but when you see a number at of a Coors at 9.5, you usually need good arms to have a number like that. It's almost like, you hate to say auto bet over, but it's just a very low number for that park. Okay. Much like in the Marlins park, if you see a number of 9.5, that's a massive number for that park. So I don't care who's pitching, that number for the park is massive. So just something to keep in mind. You might look at a line at a surface level and see 2 pitchers that suck, and you're like, oh, I got to bet this line over. Or you'll see 2 pitchers that are really good, and you're like, oh, I got to bet this line under. Remember, it's always incorporated in the line. And I think that actual park dimensions isn't really used enough in handicapping for a lot of sports bettors. And I'm not saying to you that I generalize all my bets off of ballparks, but you need to have it included in there because at the end of the day, it matters. Certain parks are worth a half run in either direction. Some parks are even worth a full run in other directions. And parks like Coors are worth 2 or 3 runs, right? So if you see a super low number at Coors, it's typically worth targeting over. If you see a super high number at a park like San Francisco or Marlins, it's typically worth targeting the under, or at least shade your numbers that direction. Okay, so that game, nothing really I like there. Now Royals White Sox. So Dylan sees Mike Minor. And look, I'll say this in probably every video I do this year about the Royals. The Royals are going to see steam in nearly every game they play this year. Granted, there'll be anomalies where the team they're playing sees money come in the other way. And here I am talking about a game that's postponed, wasting everybody's time. That game's postponed, so I won't even talk about it. Okay, so but yeah, very, very briefly, do expect Royals games in general to see steam. There's a lot of heavy money influencing Royals games. I noticed that a little bit last year, noticed it earlier this year. So if you're going to bet the Royals, be sure to be betting them early when in fact you do so. Okay, so Mariners Twins. This is going to be my best bet. And this is not a bet I often make. I feel like I say that often, right? But Mariners, Twins, Yusei Kikuchi versus Michael Pineda. Pineda looked really good in his first start. Not that anybody expected anything less, but he's definitely looked really good over the last few years. And Kikuchi's improved. He had a good year last year, had a good spring, if you count that at all, and looked decent in his first start. I know it was against San Fran, but look, remember, San Fran mashes lefties. At least they did last year. So, it's not an awful start by any means. He gave up like 3 earned over 6. This spot in particular. So this year, whenever you see the Twins against a left-handed starter, I would say an average or worse left-handed starter, and you see a team total of 4.5 or less, I don't want to say it's always an auto bet, but you need to legitimately consider it. So this line opens 9 or 8.5, 8.5 was big, and now it's down to 8, which I kind of get. Okay, people aren't always quick to bet unders when Pineda's on the mound, and people aren't always quick to bet unders when Seattle's the opposing team. Overs. Excuse me, when Seattle's the opposing team and when Pineda's starting. So I get that. However, okay, this Twins team, much like the Yankees, is just built to mash left-handed pitching. And 4.5 runs, if you get a bomb or two, which is I would consider likely, you're going to be right there. Now, the reason why I don't often like to bet home team totals is because you will often find yourself getting 8 at-bats, right? So it's never fun, right, knowing your team's up 3-0 late, and you're not going to get that, or 4-0 up late, and you're not going to get that last at-bat for a chance to go over. So I prefer, often if I do this, I prefer to do it with road teams. However, this spot in particular, you're not going to get many opportunities this year where the Twins number's 4.5 at very low VIX. So at FanDuel, -102. I actually saw it at +104 by the time I logged in. It actually swapped to 102. Maybe they're doing that to me. But it was +104, now -102. FanDuel, New Jersey. So Twins team total over 4.5. I don't know if I just want to see if their lineup actually came out yet. Okay, so it did come out. Yeah, and I mean they're righty heavy. It's not like anybody crazy sitting out. So yeah, they're going to put a lot of pressure on Kikuchi, especially with the home run ball. I like that I saw Garver finally get one into the seats, or dead center. It wasn't the seats, but the other game. And then Buxton's been red hot. Cruz hasn't had an excellent start to the year, but he's always lethal versus lefties. So no, I mean up and down this lineup, there's really no holes, right? I mean, I guess Anderson Simmons, because he's got no pop, but he's still having a decent start to the year. And Arias, I think, went deep the other day. So just a lot of pop in this lineup. And I get it. Kikuchi had a great year last year, but overall the number to me is a bit small, and the VIG is great too. So that's my best bet. I liked it all the way up to -115. You're not going to see any numbers other than that. You're going to see 4.5. So Twins team total over 4.5. I got that -102 FanDuel. And to me, that's good up to -115. So what does that mean? That means like if you see that -120, it means for me that bet's no longer favorable. It's like I say though, 4.5 for me is an auto bet, but you still have to be number conscious. You can't just say I'm going to bet 4.5 if it's -160. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. You have to be number conscious, and -115 for me is where that value kind of stops. Call it that it becomes a lean after -115. Okay, so got that best bet out of the way. Next game. Okay, so Brewers Cardinals. Adrian Hauser, Carlos Martinez. Now I know Carlos Martinez. He still has that name, if that makes any sense. What I mean by that is like people legitimately look at him as a great pitcher because at one point he was a great pitcher, like Corey Kluber, right? Like yesterday when I did the video, I told you like Corey Kluber still is getting respect in the market for whatever reason, even though his fastball is 3 miles slower. Now Carlos Martinez through a few days back, not good by any means. But again, he's still getting market help. The market seems to like him. I know the Cardinals are home and they're -110, so it's not like it's a crazy advantage for them. But look, this line opens, I think, the other way. I think Milwaukee opened as a slight favorite, and now it's been seen the other way. I'm just not a Carlos Martinez guy by any means. I'm definitely not going to be backing him in starts where he's favored or even a pick'em. So you're never going to hear that from me. Granted, unless he goes on some crazy run where he becomes unhittable for a month. And even then, I'd be jumping on a market that's already bad to begin with. So, yeah, long story short, I'm not a Carlos Martinez guy by any means. Adrian Hauser is a guy I do like. So you would consider with this perfect storm, maybe I would lean the Brewers. I just personally have this game a coin flip in general, and I don't want to lay 10 cents both ways. If you can get this at dog money, which it looks like at some spots. So DraftKings opened this up recently, because before I did the video, I didn't see that. But now it looks like it's plus 102 in favor of plus 102 for the Brewers. So for me, that's becoming at least a lean. I mean, if they've a strong lean at worst, because again, coin flip, but again, you're talking 2 cents of value there. So yeah, if this became like 115, 110, yeah, it'd be a jump in spot for me, or maybe even live. Because I don't trust Carlos Martinez by any means. And don't get me wrong, he could pitch well today. He'll probably fist me and go 7 shutout, but not a spot I like. And as far as the total, yeah, I don't want any part of this. A low number for 2 good offenses. But again, I like Hauser, and if Carlos Martinez gets himself in or avoids himself in big jams, and especially avoids the long ball, which is not like Milwaukee's been hitting a lot of home runs as a team anyway. So stay away spot for me with the total. And again, I lean Milwaukee, but nothing major there. It won't be a bet I make, especially if it doesn't move beforehand. Okay, so Rockies Giants. One thing I want to mention about the Rockies, when this team, first of all, this team wasn't really hitting all that well at Coors. And their lineup's a bit broken down. They don't have Arenado anymore. I mean, if you look at, they have basically a complete black hole at the bottom of their lineup from 6 through 9. And even like, Ryan McMahon hits 5th, and sure, he's streaky, but I mean, and even look who hits 1 and 2, like Hampson and Tapia. This lineup is just not very good, and they're playing at Coors Field half the season, so they'll be able to pad the numbers a little bit. But when this team's going away from Coors, this is such a fade team offensively. Now, I know that they go against Logan Webb here, who's not very good by any means. But it's not a spot. Well, look, I want to be more clear. The Rockies is not a team I'm going to be targeting basically ever this season away from Coors. They're a team that I did like to target occasionally away from Coors the last few years, because the market just seemingly is oversaturated with how good this team plays at Coors versus how bad they are away. And it's opened up some spots, but this year it's a bit scary, and you're already starting to see it. So this line opens 150 and it's already climbed to 180. Despite a whole lot of, I mean, think about it. Like, you're laying 180 with Logan Webb. But I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that this Rockies team has not looked good at all offensively. And Chichi Gonzalez, I mean, he's shown some bright spots, but overall, I mean, by no means a great pitcher, or even good pitcher, I'd go as far to say. So as crazy as this might sound, at 180, I actually have this quite fair, or even actually probably not enough, about 185, 188 for me. So I guess, yeah, call it small lean San Francisco, even at that fat price. And this is something I want to mention, because like overall, this gets melted into the market so much. Oh, the only place you can find value is dogs and unders. Do realize betting is a marketplace. If everybody's saying, if the new cool thing is dogs and unders, then the new smart thing is overs and favorites. People don't want to lay 190, right? But if realistically the line should be 260, then there's a lot of value on 190, right? So, just because you see dog price doesn't mean, oh, that's value, like plus 105 is value. What if the dog's plus 105 and should be plus 140? Well, that's not value, right? I mean, yeah, sure, you're paying less for it, but that's not value. Value is all indicative of the number. If a total dips low enough, over becomes favorable. If a total dips moves up high enough, an under becomes favorable. Remember, it's a marketplace. You're trying to buy when people are selling, sell when people are buying. If the marketplace and people in general are very bullish on a certain team or a certain over a trend, remember that the market's going to be built in for that, and you have to not so much fade that indirectly or directly, but you have to be conscious of the number and be able to navigate through the markets properly. Also, real quick, as you can see, I got my Dunkin' coffee as always. If you thought for a second I was going to do this show this early without a coffee, you're probably clinically insane. All right, so next game up. I talked on that game enough. Okay, so Astros Athletics, Frankie Montas versus Jose Urquidy. Urquidy, I think. Pronounce that right. So this line here, Houston minus 161, seeing some steam. Look, I get it. Oakland's a tough team to back. They played well yesterday. And Montez hasn't looked very good to start this year by any means. Got absolutely ripped apart in his last start. And it's tough to make of what to make of Montez, right? Like, he was kind of like having a tremendous year a few years back. And then, he had the steroid allegations at some point. he's still a good pitcher as far as his numbers go. Like nothing's like crazy off. I think he just had a bad start. Is really more or less it. The problem is that now he faces another potent lineup in Houston, and now the good part is for Montes is he's not coming from the left side. Even though yesterday Oakland's lefty pitched pretty well. For me, I can't lay 153 in this spot with Houston because Oakland's a streaky team, right? So they start the season off really bad. Then they come back and show life late against Kelly Jansen for the Dodgers and end up winning the game versus the Dodgers late in a comeback win. Then they fly to Houston and they absolutely look really good yesterday. You'll see this often where a team kind of starts to get their mojo going, and it looks like Oakland's starting to get their mojo. So this is not a team I by any means want to fade right now. And I know Houston might be a popular play today for a lot of people. And look, it might make sense, but for me, you might argue Oakland first 5. Again, this team's kind of like woken up, right? They started out like shit. This was a preseason, not favorite, but a preseason sleeper to win this division this year. And they started out really bad, but now, kind of the ship looks like it might be righting for them, right? So stay away spot for me. But again, if you're looking for a lean for me in this spot, it'll be Oakland first 5. Grab the half run. You can take a money line if you want to be real ballsy, but you can take a half run and get that at like minus 105. So that would be a lean for me. Okay, so I'll go through these other 2 games, and then if you have any questions on the late games, I'll take them before I hop off. But the 7 o'clock and forward games, I'll lay off, but I'll do the 2 6 o'clocks for you before I hop out of here. Okay, so Cleveland and Detroit. Look, Cleveland. What do we know about Cleveland? Okay, first 5 unders. Cash cow for this team. They were a cash cow last year. They continue to be a cash cow. If anything, if I'm incorrect, have they cashed every single first 5 under this year? At minimum, they're 5-1. I know they have 6 games, but at minimum, they're 5-1 in first 5 unders. But I'm pretty sure they're 6-0. The only one would have been that one game against the Tigers. I'm just trying to confirm here if that actually played out in that way. Oh no, that was the first 5 under as well. Yeah, so look, you hate to start talking about blindly making bets. Cleveland doesn't hit, and they pitch really well. Or, at least they play teams that haven't been hitting. And, they play Detroit here. And look, it's a good arm for Detroit. Screwball is a young kid who has a tremendous K rate. Just great stuff overall. And look, I'm not a big Savali fan. To me, he's a lot like Plesac. Like, I get it. These guys get outs, but like you look at their advanced stuff and you're like, woof. But the other good part here, if you're going to target first 5 under again with Cleveland, because again, they're hanging a 9, which means you're going to get a first 5 of penning your book. You could get it up to 5. You'll definitely get 4.5 like at dog money, but you'll get 5 at some places. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big Savali guy, but it's still this Detroit lineup, which is certainly below average. And you throw a lefty at Cleveland, especially last year, they were awful. Now they don't have Lindor, who at least mashed lefties. So, for me, again, you can go right back to the well, first 5 under, it'll be 5. I'm not going to target it as much because I still think that the market's starting to inherit the right numbers. Like for me, I'd argue this number should be 9.5, but because these teams aren't really hitting, and Cleveland's showing again that first 5 under steam again, or favorable stuff again, first 5 under, that it's starting to get baked into the market. So overall, first 5 under for me would be my play in this game. Small lean, but looks like you might even get this. So if this is, I'm seeing it start to see some over money. This maybe pushes to 9.5, where at certain books you could end up getting 5.5 for a first 5. Yeah, to me that's a slam spot. You'd end up getting like 5.5 at minus 130, which again would be a slam spot. Okay, Cubs Pirates. So this is like a perfect storm for me. These two faced each other recently as well in their last game. And I say perfect storm for me because I can't stand Zach Davies and I love Mitch Keller. You just look at the advanced numbers of both guys. And I don't know how Zach Davies does it. I just truly don't. The guy just consistently gets outs, and you look at all the advanced numbers, all the hard contact, and you wonder how he does it. And a guy like Mitch Keller, who has a tremendous strikeout rate, but he also walks a lot of guys, and he also has a tremendous problem with the home run ball. In a game today in Pittsburgh that figures to be a little cool, I mean, not cold, but let's see the weather here. And by the way, I don't want to say weather's an underrated angle, but I think that not enough people use weather to their advantage when betting. to at least get, you don't want to look at a game and say, oh, the wind's blowing out 20 miles an hour, I have to bet the over. No, but I mean, you want to at least make sure it's influenced in the right direction. Yeah, so I mean, you're looking at, that's going to be warm, 75 degrees. But the wind's blowing in, 14 miles an hour, especially to left-handers, left-handed bats, which matters. Mitch Keller's not exactly very good versus left-handed bats, and the Cubs have quite a few of them. But for me, this spot would be a lean under, maybe even first 5 under. I don't trust either bullpen, to be honest. So yeah, I guess first 5 under would be a lean. For me, it'll be 4.5. It'll be 4.5. And a lot of that has to do with, I think Mitch Keller pitches better this time around than he did the last time. And Zach Davies, has been fortunate enough now. He's played the Pirates, twice. And look, there's nothing that really scares you with the Pirates lineup, especially these days. So as much as I might find Zach Davies overrated, he should, not have too much trouble today against this Pirates lineup. And Mitch Keller, I expect a better performance. I know that it's always tough when the same pitcher plays the same team twice in a row, that you'd make the argument for advantage hitters, but maybe the pitcher could make necessary adjustments as well. And I think Mitch Keller, his big problem is he gets himself into way too much trouble, where it almost becomes unavoidable for him to not give up runs. But yeah, in this spot, wind blowing in, I like Keller to pitch better in this spot. And Davies shouldn't have issues navigating that Pirate lineup. So yeah, under 4.5 be a lean for me in that one. Josh, where's Faxman? He should be on tomorrow. I say should because he often ghosts me, but I'll be live show tomorrow with me and Joey, and he should be on with us tomorrow. Okay, so I went through all the games, at least all the earlier games, all through 6 o'clock. There's a few more games left, but I'll let you guys. What is it? 1, 2. Yeah, I'll let you guys. You guys want me to talk on the 2 of them? I'll do it before I go. But other than that, we got Jay, who's going to start doing the UFC card live for our members. There is a big UFC card early, and I'm sure most of you are also in tune to the Masters, which look, it's been amazing. I mean, to see Spieth play good again has been fun to a certain extent. I'd love to see DeChambeau make a run as well. That'd be pretty cool to see, especially have a nice little late action tomorrow with multiple guys in play to win it. What's the first half under for which game? Just signed in. If you scroll up, Ricky, actually, I was just giving out some leans on the other games when I was talking them, but my best bet overall, I don't remember where I typed it, was Twins team total over 4.5. I got that at FanDuel at minus 102. So, Drew, glad you enjoyed the vid. Guys, thanks for popping in. Like I said, we'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow the show will be a little later. It'll be 12 o'clock for you early birds. So stay tuned for that. And again, Jay's got his UFC stuff today. We'll be in the Discord all day chatting on multiple different plays live. Real quick, Leroy, I'll touch on the Toronto game. For me, it's a big number, but believe it or not, I actually lean that game over 10.5, and it's starting to see some understeam as well. Look, you throw a lefty at the Angels, it's not good news. And you throw a lefty you throw a below average lefty at the Angels, it's not good news. And you throw a below average lefty at Toronto, it's not good news. I'd argue for first 5 over instead of full game over, primarily because I think these guys, first of all, they're both prone to the home run ball, and Matz makes a ton of mistakes, and Quintana's just not near what he used to be. He used to be a very crafty lefty, very good on location. He's just not the same that he once was. So yeah, if you want a true lean for me in that game, the lean would be over first 5 or full game. I mean, I got them both basically the same. So overall, Rich, I didn't touch on that game in particular. I mean, as far as totals, it was kind of like a stay away spot for me with totals. I think at 9.5, I slightly leaned the under for full game, but not in anything that I have conviction on it. And Willie, I mean, you should know by now, I don't screw with hockey. I assume you're joking. But yeah, guys, look, thanks for popping in. Nathan, hope all's well. Thanks for popping in. Look, good luck with all your bets today. As always, be sure to gamble responsibly. There's a lot of sports going on today, right? Between the Masters, the UFC cards, a good baseball slate. There's NBA, tennis and soccer if you're into that. Hockey, of course. So look, as always, folks, gamble responsibly. And look, I'll see you guys back tomorrow. And until then, stay safe, folks.